What's going on, everybody out in YouTube land? I want to welcome you to the second episode of GBA. I'm probably going to abbreviate the title to GBA because Game Bunker Adventures takes a while to say out, and it's just easier to say GBA. But in this episode, I actually wanted to just go through some of my recent game pickups. For right now, I'm mostly just collecting for the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo, Game Boy, Nintendo 64, and of course the newer systems I'm always getting games for. But as far as retro content goes, that's kind of what I'm collecting for. Nintendo 64 to a lesser extent. But in this video, I just want to show you some of my most recent purchases for NES and Super Nintendo games. I do have a couple rare or uncommon games in this episode. I'm probably going to save those for, the last games I show for said console. But yeah, thank you again for tuning in, and let's get this thing started. I'm going to start out with the Super Nintendo games. But the first game I picked up here, I got it on an online auction, and it was cheap. I did not know much about the game when I got it, but I got Gods for the Super Nintendo. I played this game for a very little bit of time. Didn't really put much into it, so it's hard for me to really say what my complete thoughts of it are. But, I mean, it was okay. From what I can tell, it's got some platforming elements in it, but the controls and the movements of the characters seems very stiff. But I will play it some more. So, once again, for Super Nintendo, I got Gods. Alright, so next up, I saw this game online and it was really cheap, so I figured I would pick it up. Always looking to add to the Super Nintendo collection, but I noticed Ireme did this game, and I like a lot of the arcade games that Ireme put out back in the 90s. So for Super Nintendo, I picked up Street Combat. Once again, I think this game cost me like $6, so I figured why not. I put this in and I played it for a little while. It's a pretty generic fighting game. Honestly, there's nothing too special about it. I do like some of the character designs in it. It's kind of interesting to see who you're going to be fighting next. And there is some humor in the game, especially in the cutscenes between fights. But yeah, cheap, so if you're collecting for the Super Nintendo, you might as well pick it up. It wasn't terrible. I had a decent time with it for the 20 minutes I played it. But yeah, Street Combat for the Super Nintendo. Next up for the Super Nintendo, I actually really loved this game when I played it. Once again, this was under $10. I can't really remember exactly what I paid for it. Didn't know anything about it. But I got Total Carnage for the Super Nintendo. And I tell you, the title, it says it all, because this game is Total Carnage. It's a twin-stick shooter, at least for the bits of it that I played, it was a twin-stick shooter. And I absolutely had a blast with this game. There is stuff coming at you from every direction. But yeah, for under $10, I would definitely say pick it up. Total Carnage for the Super Nintendo. Next up on the Super Nintendo, I didn't know anything about this game, but I liked the artwork on the label, and I'm always trying to pick up games that I've never really heard of before. You'd be shocked sometimes you can get some really good games like that. And it wasn't overly expensive. I know this game was under $20, but it's kind of hard to say the title. I think it's Kokoma Night in Busyland. Kokoma Night in Busyland. But yeah, like I said, I really liked the artwork on the game, and it's a game I didn't have, so I figured why not pick it up. I really haven't put this game in. I put it in to test it to see if it worked, but I haven't played it yet, so I literally know nothing about this game. But yeah, just excited to put another Super Nintendo game in the collection. Kakoma Night in Busyland. Next up, a game I really don't know much about. I've had friends tell me that I should try it though, so I decided to pick it up. I found it for a decent price. I played this one for a couple minutes. Honestly, I did not really care for what I was playing, but it's unfair for me to say that, really, because I didn't put enough time into it. But I got Super Ninja Boy for the Super Nintendo. Super Ninja Boy. Like I said, I got this for a pretty good price. Happy to have it. Next up, a game that I've been looking to pick up for a while. I just never found a price I was comfortable with. I got Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. Now, honestly, I prefer the Mega Man 1 through 7, the original Mega Man series for the Nintendo. And of course, 7 is on Super Nintendo. But I just like those games a whole lot better than the X games. But Mega Man X is still a fun game. I quite enjoy it. Once again, another game I'm kind of ashamed I haven't had up to this point, because I love the first 3 on the NES. But once again, just waiting for a good deal on it, and I picked this up in a lot, so I actually got a great price on it. And man, is this game good. I strongly suggest anybody who hasn't played it go out and play it. But I got Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. This is a fantastic game. I'm going to put a lot of time into that one. But my final 2, I got this from a friend that was paring down his collection. Once again, heard a lot of great things about it. I personally don't know anything about it. Haven't really had a chance to play this one. But I got Spanky's Quest on the Super Nintendo. My buddy says this is great, and I've heard it from a few other people. I just haven't had a chance to put it in and play it yet. Just tested to see if it worked. But yeah, Spanky's Quest on the Super Nintendo. And the final game is probably the most uncommon game that I picked up for Super Nintendo. It's been coming down a little bit in price, so I felt comfortable picking it up. But I'm a huge fan of the series, and when I found out they had this, I just knew I had to have it. But for Super Nintendo, I got Mega Man Soccer. Had no clue this was a thing until I saw it on some YouTube videos a while back, but just really happy to add this. I did put this in and play it for about 25 minutes. Honestly, I wasn't hugely impressed with it, but I mean, I did not learn everything about the game in 25 minutes, so I'm definitely going to put some more time into it. But super stoked to add Mega Man Soccer to the Super Nintendo collection. Alright, so that's all the Super Nintendo games that I've picked up in the last week or so. So now we're going to go to the NES games that I've picked up in the last week or so. Got this in an online auction. Did not really care for this game at all when I put it in, but I've got Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade on NES. Interesting story about this game is, this is the Taito version. There's another version of this game that's actually a completely different game but has the exact same name. I can't remember what publisher did the other game, but I think this one goes for under 20 bucks typically, and the other version of this game goes for 100 or more. I heard that this is the better version of the game, but once again, this game is not good. I really did not have a good time with this. Also, the first stage is like a boat stage. I guess you're out on the sea, but the movement kind of made me sick. But yeah, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Next up for Nintendo, another game I absolutely hated when I put it in, but you know, needed it to add to the NES collection. I just recently got the Game Boy version of this in my video games monthly box, but I got Home Alone on the Nintendo. Like I said, honestly, when I played this, I hated it, but I'm sure there's people out there that love it. But yeah, one more to check off the list. Home Alone on the NES. Another game that I needed to check off, cheap game, just haven't picked it up. Once again, I did not really care for this game, but I got High Speed on the NES. This is a pinball game actually based off a real pinball table. But like I said, I just don't really care for video pinball on the NES. The physics just aren't right, which, I mean, honestly, it's the Nintendo, so what do you expect? But yeah, High Speed on the NES. So next, I don't know if this is an uncommon game, but I don't really see it around very often. So when I found it, I just decided to pick it up so I could check it off the list. I got F-117A Stealth Fighter. But yeah, it says on the cover that this is a real stealth fighter experience. I haven't really put this in, but I'm guessing it's some sort of flight simulator, which probably isn't very good. But yeah, F-117A Stealth Fighter. Still really happy to check this off the NES list. Next up is another game that I don't see very often. Once again, don't know if it's considered uncommon or not. But I actually did enjoy this one when I put it in. It's a racing game on the NES. You kind of know what to expect. But once again, not a bad game. I got Rally Bike for the NES. But yeah, once again, I actually enjoyed playing this one. So if you find it for a decent price, pick it up. Like I said, not a title I see very often. But yeah, Rally Bike for the NES. The next NES game I've been wanting to pick up for a while. I just was waiting to see if I could find a price that I felt comfortable with paying. And I just love the artwork on this game, and I just love the style of the game. But we've got Ghoul School on the NES. So I'm guessing this is kind of uncommon as well because I don't really see it very often. But yeah, I mean, the game is okay. It's not the best game in the world, but like I said, I just love the style of the game. And I just really enjoy games like this in general. On Super Nintendo, one of my favorite games is Zombie Ate My Neighbors. But yeah, Ghoul School. Really happy to finally get this and check it off the list. Next up is a pretty uncommon Capcom game for the NES. And I got a great deal on this, so I'm just happy to check it off the list. I've got over 440 NES games currently, so it's getting harder to find good deals because a lot of the games that I need are the higher price games. But for the Nintendo, I picked up Gargoyle's Quest 2 by Capcom. Now, I've heard a lot of people say this is a great game. And honestly, I only played it for about 20 minutes. But what I played of it, I did not really care for that much. But like I said, I definitely need to put some more time into it. But yeah, Gargoyle's Quest 2 on the NES. Really happy to have this. And then probably the most rare game that I picked up in the last couple weeks, and probably the highest price game that I currently have on the NES. I guess a lot of people consider this game rare, and I just love shoot 'em ups. They are my favorite type of game by far. So I definitely really wanted to get this, and I found it for a decent deal. So for NES, I got Gun Knack. But yeah, like I said, I guess this is technically going to be my rarest NES game that I have. It's currently valued at around $200 or so. I paid a little bit less than that, so I was happy. But yeah, this is a very interesting game. It's very fun. They're very generous with the power-ups they give out in this game. But man, if you get down to the regular gun that you get when you start the game, you're going to die fast. But as long as you can keep your power-ups, the game's not overly difficult. You fight some very interesting enemies in this game. So I highly suggest anybody play this. I mean, I know there's not too many people out there that are going to spend $200 on an NES cart, but you can play this on emulation and stuff. But yeah, I'm very excited to check off Gun Knack on the NES. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going for a complete set of NES games, but at this point, I'm just kind of buying everything that I see that I don't have, and we'll see how far I can get. I will never buy stadium events, though. I'm not going to spend that kind of money on a game, especially when it's basically the exact same game as another game on the NES. But if I do complete the NES set, it will always be minus stadium events. But yeah, I want to thank you for tuning in to this video. This is the second video I've done on this channel, and if you haven't, please go back and watch the Video Games Monthly unboxing. I know it's pretty awkward. Shoot, this one's probably pretty awkward too, but I will get better at this as I go along. But I really plan on showing a lot of the stuff that I accumulate. One of the reasons why I decided to do this is because I want to share my stuff with people that like the same kind of things that I like. A lot of my friends aren't really into video games that much, and my wife could really care less, even though I show her everything that I get. So at least this way I can share things with people that have the same interests as I do. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very passionate about this, and I can't wait to do more videos for you. And as the subscribers grow, I've got plans to do some pretty cool giveaways. And, you know, just build a community that I'm happy to be a part of. But yeah, if you could, just please like the video and subscribe. It would be great. Like I said, I'm just starting out, and this will get better as time goes along. But until then, I just hope you enjoy all the stuff that I'm going to show you. But yeah, so until next time, see you guys later.